So the transfer window is in full swing. It's only been open just over 2 weeks, but the last few days, especially in Newcastle United, has been pretty ridiculous in terms of transfer movements, particularly on the outgoing. Obviously, we all know they've signed Lloyd Kelly from Bournemouth. That's been confirmed. Lewis Hall, he will join on a permanent deal next month. That's good to go. But in terms of outgoings, it's been mad the last few days. Newcastle United, of course, have the PSR concerns. They have to sell before June 30th to avoid risking a points deduction. The club have known that for a while. They're not the only one in that boat. There's Nottingham Forest, newly promoted Leicester in the similar situation, Aston Villa and Everton. So there's they're not unique in that situation. But I think the thing that makes Newcastle unique amongst those other clubs, maybe not Aston Villa in this case, but they have got some very big, prize assets that if they sold, they wouldn't have any problems. Certainly this year, maybe not next year. You've got your Alexander Isaks, Bruno Guimaraes, and Anthony Gordon. They're the three that would bring in big money and solve all these issues. Of course, Newcastle are reluctant to sell, and I think those three players at one time or another have claimed and they're happy at Newcastle. Isak said that at the end of the season, and then reiterated on international duty. Bruno, we all know how happy he is at Newcastle, and Anthony Gordon obviously just joined. He's very settled with Eddie Howe, and after a brilliant season. But of course, the need to sell players aren't going to stop these rumours, and unfortunately they're always going to be about, for the next deal. So until the PSR sort of situation sorts itself out, how Newcastle deal with that, I think no one really knows bar the club themselves. If they know at this stage, there's been lots of reports that Yankuba Minter, he could be one that he's never kicked a ball for Newcastle, he could be sold. You've got Elliot Anderson, someone who's rose through the academy, he'll be pure profit on their financial records, he could be sold again. So it's going to be a whirlwind deal. So, and it's one that Newcastle really, they've got no one else to blame for getting themselves in a situation. Realistically, they knew this was coming, and they are one of they have to deal with it. There are a number of other clubs in the same situation. But is it a silly rule from the Premier League? Maybe you can argue for and against, and this will be something that dominates forever. But the one thing is, Newcastle United are very close to risking a points deduction unless they can sort something out. How that does get sorted out, again, it's the theme of this debate. No one really knows. Anthony Gordon to Liverpool would sort it out, but that would be a really, really bad move optic-wise for Newcastle. And on the field, Anthony Gordon's brilliant last year, and you think he'll only get better, especially with some international experience at Euro 2024 behind him. So losing him would be a big blow. Can they offload some of their squad players, fringe players? Talk of Callum Wilson, Miguel Almiron. But again, if there's no buyers in for them, unfortunately, there's no way you can sell. And then again, you look to the top end and think, well, there are buyers for your Gordons, your Isaks, and your Guimaraes, but you don't want to lose them. So it's going to be a horrendous situation for Newcastle fans over the next couple of days, but the next few weeks. And obviously it'll be exciting, hopefully, when the transfer market gets into full swing. And once June 30th passes, and once the European and South American tournaments sort of end, that's when teams will really start buying and selling. And hopefully Newcastle will strengthen. There is money to spend with Champions League money and Adidas sponsorship and all that to come. But unfortunately, for the next few days, weeks, that it's all about selling. I think hold on to some of their best players. And yeah, it's a real awkward situation to find themselves in. They're not alone, but for now, Newcastle United really do have to sell. And unfortunately, that's until the rules are changed, whether for better or for worse, until football stops sort of harming ambition, because that's what they're doing essentially, especially Newcastle and Villa have been in the situation. Their owners are willing to invest and have got the money to invest, but unfortunately they can't right now because of these rules. Until that's sorted out, these situations are going to crop up, maybe not this year, or this year, it's already cropped up again next year, possibly, and the year after, So a solution may be found, but right now Newcastle United really have to come up with a creative solution, and the time's ticking. They've got very little time. They've got till end of play Sunday really to sort something out. Or if not, risking a points deduction. Now that opens a whole new window. Actually, is this points deduction potentially worth taking? Do you keep your three big players and think, right, we'll take a points deduction? Where Everton and Forest, as much as they did get points deduction last year, they didn't end up going down, so it didn't, it harmed them, of course, because they got less points, but at the end of the day, it didn't harm them in terms of Premier League survival. Do Newcastle look at that and think, well, actually, if we can make up 4 or 5, whatever points it's going to be, it might even be more than that, is that something worthwhile taking on? It's going to be, it's not a situation any club wants to be involved in, not a situation fans, supporters, players or anything want to be involved in, but the reality is that is the situation Newcastle are in right now, and it'll be an interesting next few hours, days and weeks to see how they come up with a solution. Of course, the best way you can stay up to date with all of that is with the Shields Gazette.